In this video, I'm going to show you Magnus's first win against Vishy Anand in the World Championship match. This is in 2013, and the way he does it is just amazing. He played like a 3050 rated player, the computer says. He starts off with c4, we have e6 and d4. After d5, this is the Queen's Gambit, after knight f3, this is the Queen's Gambit, but Vishy decides to not take, because if you were to take, you push d4, you're attacking this pawn with the bishop, and it's the Queen's Gambit accepted. Instead, this is the Queen's Gambit declined. We have pawn to e4 now anyways, and it's defending this pawn, so you wouldn't want to take it, because then you'd be really developed. He instead takes the e4 pawn, knight takes, bishop check, and knight drops back to where it was. We have pawn to c5 now, threatening this pawn in the center. Magnus decides to attack the bishop, and now the bishop has a choice to either take, you'll take back, and I actually don't really like this position. You can't really take because then the pawns get undoubled, but you've doubled pawns with a pawn in the center, so I don't think it's too strong, but he decides not to take, drop the bishop back, keep the pin, and Magnus just develops his knight. Developing it there, defending the knight would be better, and defending the pawn, but it's beside the point because that's not what he played. We have knight to f6 now, and Magnus plays bishop to e3. And he's defending this pawn now because it was getting attacked by the pawn and the queen. It's also already defended. It's just developing the bishop. We have knight to c6, and we play queen to d3 by Magnus, keeping the tension on these pawns instead of trading it off, which was the best move, but my guess is he didn't want to trade queens this early. We have pawn takes, and knight jumps onto g4 now. They're playing almost all best moves up to like here so far at least. We have this attacking this bishop, and you're hanging this knight, but instead Magnus just decides to castle. He's like, I'm not in any danger, castling's good. I think rook d1 might have been the best move, but castling's really good too. We have knight takes the knight on e3, pawn takes back, defending this knight, and now we have bishop dropping back to c7. This is not the right idea. Magnus has a very slight advantage. He has to play something like here, attacking this bishop, because it's moved so many times already, right? It started here, it moved here, here, here. So it's moved like a lot of times in the opening, and you just have so much more development, and you're equal on material, so knight takes d4 is the best in the position, and you're just trading down, and you're still attacking this knight. Queen takes d4, and then maybe trade off the queens. But it's besides the point, because he didn't play the best move in the position. He actually just took the knight immediately. We have pawn takes back, and queen takes. This is an amazing trade for Magnus because after bishop takes back, these three pieces have not moved, the king has not moved, and this bishop is on a very awkward square, and it's not really doing anything. Magnus develops his bishop to e2, and his pieces are looking really nice. This rook's eyeing here, this rook can move over to eye here. We have this bishop, this knight is pretty developed. So knight and bishop versus two bishops. Technically, two bishops is better, but it all depends on the position. There's still a lot of pawns, right? They both have 6 pawns each, so it's going to be hard for the bishops to move around very easily. We have bishop to f3, bishop to d7, best moves in the position, and now knight to e4. Knights are very tricky pieces. This was obviously a classical game, so you're not going to miss anything, but bishop to b6 now, and pawn goes forwards to c5. And now we have a great move by Vishy. Pretty much everything else was really bad. Counter-attacking this knight, danger levels. If you take here, you're completely losing. We'll see what he does. He just takes there. So, I meant if Vishy takes there. But he takes back, and now our bishop's getting attacked, so what you'd probably do is move it away. But Magnus Carlsen attacks this rook, danger levels again. He got danger leveled, so he has to danger level, obviously. We have rook sliding over, and bishop takes the pawn. And now we have rook taking that pawn. If you wondered why you couldn't do it now, taking here, because then you take back, and this rook looks pretty good. So Magnus decided to do what is actually better in the position, and get the rook onto this square, instead of having this rook open up and be in the center of the board. We have rook to f1 by Magnus, and now rook goes to b5. Rook slides up to f4, and we have pawn to g5 by Vishy, and Magnus just drops his rook back. He's going to double his rooks, and Vichy's just creating some counterplay on the side of the board, but these doubled rooks are going to be very strong on this side. We have bishop dropping back, defending this f7 square, and bishop drops back to c2. So right now we have 2 rooks versus same color bishops. It's a complete draw. 2 pawns each on this side, 3 pawns each on this side. These are connected, these aren't, but it makes no difference. It's still a draw. We have rook to f6, pawn forwards, pawn to e4, and now pawn to a5. King jumps into d2, and rook goes over to b5. Now pawn forwards, just defending it with the bishop. Very calm and collected. Bishop jumps to h5, and now king goes to c3. We have rook check, king drops back. Not the best idea. That was probably a bit better, but he was probably scared of the checks, seeing what would happen. It looks a little scary, but you could probably just defend your pawns that way, and then if he goes this way, I don't know, maybe a check. We'll actually check it out now. What if he plays king this way? That is terrible. Okay, I'm dumb. King d2 is the best move, but obviously he didn't want to move right back to where he was, so instead he goes king b2, and it's fine. It's still completely drawing. The rook goes to d8, and now we have rook to f2 defending the bishop, rook to d4, and now rook takes h6. Sorry, there's no pawn there. It's just rook h6. We have bishop dropping back to d1 and bishop dropping back to b1. The best move, instead of trading here, because that is very scary for you, and you can't really do much after you trade off that bishop. The bishop is very good at defending. We have king to c3, the only move that saves Magnus's position. And now pawn to c5 by Vichy, and rook slides over to b2. We have pawn forwards to e5, rook g6, pawn forwards, rook takes g5. It actually does take a pawn this time, and it's turning here. So Magnus got some ideas. We have rook takes b3, and rook takes, bishop takes, and now rook takes with check. We have king moving over, and Magnus is up a pawn. It's still completely drawing, up a pawn, attacking this pawn, and now Magnus gets his bishop attacked. He has to do something about it, so he plays a check, intermediate move, hey Google, intermediary move.
Sure, according to Wikipedia, this Washensig is a chess tactic in which
Washensig.
instead of playing the expected move, first interposes another move posing an immediate threat that the opponent must answer.
So it's
only then plays the expected move.
It's an interposing move, and the king goes forward, and now the bishop goes to what we expected. The rook slides over to c1, and it's a mistake. It's not terrible, but king drops back to b2, defending this pawn. He should have instead just attacked the pawn immediately, and the king drops back, and then your rook's on a better square or something. Then you have the check, and you can win this pawn. But that didn't happen. We have rook g1 attacking the pawn, bishop check, king moves over. We have rook check, king down the board, all the way to the 7th rank. Bishop takes, pawn takes, king takes, and rook takes the pawn here. Magnus has a nice pawn. This king is kind of defending it. We have 2 pawns here, 2 pawns here. Magnus is up a pawn. Magnus takes here. Magnus is up 2 pawns. But it's drawing. Like 0.69 it should be drawing. You should be able to save this. Until Vichy made this mistake. What Vichy had to play was rook to e2. Sliding over here, double threading these pawns. Instead, well, king c6 wasn't terrible, but it's still probably losing against Magnus. Instead, he decided to play king e6, attacking that pawn. But now this pawn is getting pretty far. As you can see, this is the box that the king needs to be in to stop it from promoting. We have king takes, and this king is no longer in the box. So if you're moving into the box, then I get out of it. Moving in, I get out. Moving here, I guess you can get into the box. So he's in the box, and he can stop it. However, now he can't go on any of these squares. So the king can't really get to saving the pawn. King just drops back to d4. Pawn keeps on going forwards. Pawn check. King slides over. Now this rook can get here, but after one more pawn push, it's defended by the rook. Pawn's defended by the rook. Magnus is completely winning this game. There's not much that Vichy can do. He can really push this pawn. It's defended by this rook. rook goes forwards, and then like a check, and you should be completely winning. The king slides over. Inaccuracy, it doesn't make a difference. He's completely losing anyways. After h4, Vichy resigns, and this was the first game that Magnus won in the World Championship against Vichy. His performance rating was 30-50, and Vichy Anand's was 28-50. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.